I started riding, I think I got a bike when I was like 2 or 3 maybe, just riding around the park. Like, we lived in suburbia, so like just riding around the local playground park, and yeah. And then Mum and Dad bought a bit of property, moved up to the hills, so got a bigger bike. I think I got like a KX65, like 2001 something. It was my sister's old bike. So we started ripping that for a while. I was racing BMX at the time. So a few friends from BMX were like, oh, you should start racing motocross. So I think I was about 8 when I started racing dirt bikes, and then, you know, just the usual 65s, 85s, like not much going on there. We're racing just the local club runs and stuff. 2014, Mum and Dad decided to take me to the Australian Junior Nationals, which was in Appin, I think, that year. So we went there for try it out and see how we went against all the other girls. I got 12th that year, which I was stoked on that year. And then, the year after that, which was 2015, I started training with Jess Moore. She started coaching me while she was racing the women's GPs in Europe. So that's originally like where I got the idea that I wanted to race Europe. She started coaching me, and we did a lot of training that year, made a lot of progress, ended up like 2nd that year in the Aussie titles, which like still to this date, like the most proudest achievement I've had, like coming from 12th to 2nd. So that was pretty good. And then next 2 years, Australian titles, I won both on 85 and 125. And then I think 2018 was my first year senior, so, you know, racing, I had Jess Moore, Meg Rutledge, Maddie Brown, they'd like all raced in Europe. So it was kind of like a guide of where I needed to be and how hard I needed to ride and everything like that. Like, they were a bit more aggressive and they were definitely a lot stronger. Like, I was still kind of in a little kid's body, so I knew I had a lot of training to do. But yeah, at the end of that year, we ended up going to New Zealand to race the New Zealand Women's Nationals. And like, that was kind of the first taste of like overseas racing, I guess. It's just across the pond, but like different girls and everything. And then, yeah, I was just doing all my winter not winter, it was summer here, summer training, like, and Dad, about a month before I ended up going to Europe, he actually told me, he was like, you know, pack your bags, we're going to Europe in a month. And like, I was like, what is going on? But yeah, so February 2019, we flew to Belgium, started with a team over there. They had like bikes and everything, gear ready for me to go. So once I got there, you know, I could start training. And that was my first time, overseas, Europe, racing all these crazy tracks, like all the higher competition and everything. So that's kind of where I am at now, just traveling around Europe, racing the best tracks in the world, the best women in the world, and just progressing every time we go out and trying to eventually get to that #1 spot. So obviously this year was a little bit messed up with all the corona lockdown and all the restrictions and everything. I think it affected us racing wise. We had about 2 or 3 months a break, so we had no riding, no racing pretty much. Like, all the tracks were shut in Europe. So that time I took it upon like as a good opportunity to work a lot on our fitness and everything. So where we were staying, we could have a 5 kilometre radius where you could go outside. Near your house you could go about 5 kilometres around. Like, shops and everything were shut, like one person to get groceries. We had to wear face masks everywhere. But like, it was a really good opportunity. I did a lot of cycling through the lockdown period. Really started to enjoy that, and then just build the fitness base up a lot, which was really good for me, because obviously coming off an injury last year, my fitness went down a little bit for those couple months that I wasn't riding. But it was different for everyone, I guess, because each country had its own set of rules and everything. I think we were pretty lucky where we were still able to go outside, go running, go cycling and everything. Like, shops closing and all of that wasn't really a big fuss. Like, I don't go out too much besides training, so yeah, it's not as bad as a lot of other people, I guess. It was a good opportunity, and hopefully next year it's cleared up a little bit, but yeah, if it's still the same, we know what to do still, and we just got to kind of do what we can and yeah, deal with what's at hand. Yeah, so racing the boys was always a big part of progressing for me. I really like it because they don't care who you are, or, you know, if you're a girl or whatever, and it's really good. Like, they're a lot more aggressive and they race a lot harder. And yeah, I really enjoy like racing against the guys. I did it all growing up. Not so much in Europe because there's so much more competition with the female classes. So we don't really have the need to do it so much over there. But definitely when I'm in Australia, I think I wouldn't race in the women's class if I came back. I would try probably go MX2 or something. Yeah, they just, you know, they push you around. You have to learn to hold your line and, you know, kind of be more aggressive, and yeah, they just ride a lot harder. So it was always good growing up to learn like that, and not kind of be afraid. A lot of girls I've noticed growing up, they have this certain style, and it's just like they're kind of timid when they ride. I always tried to have more of a guy style and be strong and kind of flow more with the bike. Yeah, that was always kind of what I tried to take away from riding with the guys. I wanted to have more of a male stance, I guess you would say, on the bike. They kind of look a bit more strong, and just they can put the bike where they want it to be. Yeah, when I went to Europe, I guess I learned a new world of training for racing. Before that, you know, we'd go to the gym once a week, and I'd go ride my mountain bike with me mates on the weekend or something like that. Yeah, and obviously 2019, when I got to Europe, you know, it came a little bit more serious, and you know, it's kind of more like a job now, so I have to be really serious with it and do what's needed to be done. So, you know, I'm not one for rest days, I guess. I get bored, so I kind of work out 7 days a week most of the time. I do a lot of cycling, which I got into a couple of years ago when I was training with Josh Adams, 2018 before I left. So yeah, I'm more like, I really enjoy cycling, running, swimming, you know, more cardio stuff. I haven't really got into a lot of gym stuff, which, you know, I'm starting to get into now, but at the moment just, you know, cycling 5 or 6 days a week, running a couple of days a week, you know, swimming. It's a whole different world in Europe, and yeah, I found that out pretty quick when, you know, straight out the bat they were telling me to go do a 30-minute moto in deep Lommel sand, and you know, I would make it 15, 20 minutes in and be struggling. I knew I had a lot of work to do, so yeah, it's been really good learning how they train and everything over there, and bringing that back here a little bit. Yeah, I always try and share it on, you know, on Instagram or social media what I'm doing. Just, you know, people over here get a little bit more of an idea, because I think you don't worry about it so much when we're over here. You know, they have shorter motos and the tracks don't get as rough, so you can kind of get by on the bare minimum. But yeah, I'm trying to get as much as I can out of it, so most of the time working out 7 days a week, and yeah, I just really enjoy it. Ups and downs through racing careers. Yeah, everybody has them. We had a few years there, every single bike that we bought seemed to not work, which was real fun. Dad trying to fix them and everything. I think that was like 2015, 2016. So the 2015 I was racing in Australia, the Junior Nationals, I had this 185 and it just, no matter what we did, we took it to like 5 different mechanics. They all think they sorted it and it never ran. Yeah, so it got to like day 1 of racing and you know, it was like half an hour until my moto and my bike just would not go. So luckily we had a few mates that had spare 85s, which they were kind enough to lend me. So I was racing, borrowed 85 that year for most events. The next year also, we bought my first brand new bike. Or before that I had second-hand bikes. And of course, first brand new bike and we get like a dud from the factory. Had so many problems, but yeah, we worked it out. I got really good at mechanics from that. And yeah, other than that, like I've had a few injuries. We've had times, you know, like every motocross family, a week before racing you don't know if you're going to be able to afford fuel to get to the track, but Mum and Dad always found a way to get us there and I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, hopefully it's some more ups from here and not as many downs. What year was it? 2019. Made the move to Europe. Dad told me about a month before that I was going, so packed all my bag up, packed a duffel bag full of clothes. I had a gear bag with gear in it, and then flew out start of February. We met with a team there, which Mum and Dad had organised all that, so that when we land they'd picked us up from the airport and they had all my bikes and everything ready. And then we went straight to our team boot camp pretty much, riding all these new tracks. We were in Portugal that year for the boot camp, which was pretty cool, travelling the world pretty much as soon as we got there. Throughout that year, you know, I did the first 2 rounds. I think I was like 12th in the first round and then like 16th maybe at the second round in Portugal. Round 3 came along in Czech Republic Locket. First lap of the first race, I ended up coming together with my teammate at the time. Somebody took out her front wheel and I rammed straight into the back of her, fell out sideways, put my arm out and got cleaned out by another bike and just turned my arm into a noodle. So that was my first, I would say, big injury. I had to get 2 plates and a bunch of screws put into my arm. Still running them now, makes us stronger. And yeah, that's just, after that in Europe, I guess, I kind of got a lot more injured. I ended up doing my knee at the start of this year. I'd done my MCL. Had to race the first 2 GPs with that. And then halfway through this year, I had a shoulder injury, which, the doctors said when I was riding, I managed to dislocate it and it popped back into place. So had to build that back up through this year, make it a lot stronger, which was a lot easier with the lockdown and all that. I had a lot of time for recovery. So other than that, I've had a few other injuries when I was in Australia. I broke my elbow when I was like 10 maybe, and then had a big crash in 2015 and hurt my back quite bad, but never went to the hospital because I had a race coming up and I was like, oh no, it's good. But yeah, still got pain from that, so I always wanted to know what I did there. But other than that, you know, racing in Europe, it's a whole different game. I think that's why I got a little bit injured. You know, the level's so much higher. We have to train a lot more, you know, riding on these bigger tracks, bigger jumps, like everything is elevated, and I've never really had to push this hard. I guess it never really came easy as racing in Australia, but you know, there was only like 10 girls or something, and now we're almost on a full grid some races, so yeah, it's just a whole different ball game. Cheers, mate. Yeah, so I think that's why injuries kind of come into it, because the level's so much higher. I'm having to push pretty much, you know, go 100% out every time I ride. But yeah, I was on a support team, I guess, the last 2 years. The first year was really good, and then this year, obviously, Corona and all that messed it up a little bit, so it kind of went down the drain a little bit. But got a good team for 2021, and really excited to announce that when I get back to Europe and start working with them. It's a lot more professional, and you know, we're going to have a good base going and hope to make some good improvements. So yeah, keep your eyes out and should be good.